Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's February 22nd. These are your headlines. It's kind of a carbon copy of last week. A couple new things. There's been some herring in the Housatonic River, which is firing up to bite when they show up. Also hearing about more big pike coming off the ice out in western Massachusetts. And trout fishing across the region continues to impress. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The Fishing News is sponsored by these fine partners.
Before we begin, we've got a couple news items for you guys. The first one's going to be the next installment of Jenni Ackerman's Open Boat. She's going to talk to us about replacing a guide. Check it out.
Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Open Boat. So we're continuing our winter workbench series here, and I'm going to be going over something really important. Have you ever had a time where you're casting your favorite plug and you go to cast and you let it go and all of a sudden, poof, your line snaps and you're like, what just happened? So you bring in your line and you see that it wasn't your knot, it was your braid. What happened? I don't know. The amount of times that I've had customers come in to like Grumpy's and address this with me, it's insane. So this is why I'm here to help you guys out in solving this problem. So the one main factor is to check your guides. It's so easy to nick a guide. You can hit it against something, drop your rod on the rocks. The ceramic inlay in that guide can chip, which can cause your braid to snap and you can lose your favorite plug. So if this keeps happening and you've checked everything else, you've checked your reel, you've checked your knots and everything, make sure you check your guide. So you can use like a little X-Acto knife here and you're just gonna run the X-Acto knife through all your guides as you check. So by doing this, you should feel just constant, smooth with the blade as you're running it through. No little nicks or stops or anything. If you do feel a nick in your guide, that means you have a chip in the ceramic, and that is why your line is breaking. So another factor of checking your guides is when you replace the guides. So you can either take it to a rod shop or one of your buddies that builds rods that can fix it for you, or you can do it yourself. But with guide selection, there's a ton of different options, but the guides I like to use when I build my rods are Fuji guides. And all these guides and rod building components are available on Angler's Resource, so make sure you check them out for all your rod building needs. So why do I like Fuji? I like Fuji because they are well-designed guides that cover a wide variety of fishing rod applications. They have a very specific guide height and ring per size, like every single size is specific, which allows you to have a perfect rod for spinning and casting. Top-notch fit and finish, so literally while you're building a guide or a rod itself, all you have to do is tape the guide on that blank, wrap it and epoxy it, and you're ready to go. No need to change anything or adjust it. Of course, you gotta do your guide alignments, but with Fuji guides, you're all set and ready to go once that's epoxied on there. And they have those perfectly smooth ceramic rings that reduce heat and stress on fishing line, which eliminates fishing line failure while fighting the largest of fish. So definitely consider Fuji guides as an option when you're building a rod, if you have to replace guides, or if your buddy's building you a rod. Say, hey, I want to try out some Fuji guides. And if you can spend the extra bucks, definitely get yourself some titanium guides, because oh boy, that rod is going to be super nice and light if you have those guides on there. So stay tuned. Next week, we're going to be doing another winter workbench on rod repairs. So I will see you in next week's Open Boat.
Next thing I wanted to plug is a couple of our field correspondents, Coral Aiello of Sarah Star Charters, and Max Finch from Fisherman's World. as well as Rick Mola, the owner of Fisherman's World. They're going to be giving several seminars in the Saltwater Sportsman Seminar Series that's this weekend. On Saturday, the 24th, it's going to be at the Hilton up in Shelton, Connecticut. Definitely want to check that out. These guys are great fishermen. There's a lot of other good, a lot of other big names there, like Crazy Alberto and a few others. And it's a whole day of seminars to make you a better fisherman. So if you're in the market for that, or if you're interested or just looking for something to do this Saturday, that would be definitely something good to check out. You can Google that, the Saltwater Sportsman Seminar Series, and you'll find all the details you need for that. And last thing, of course, is a giveaway, which is ongoing. We're going to give away the dual action swimmer that I made, a Connecticut Yankee copy. And pretty cool plug. You're not going to find that anywhere else. And, if I do say so myself, it's a pretty nice color as well. So check that out if you guys know I'm sure you guys know the drill, but I'm going to go through it real quick here anyway. It's got to be a recently caught fish, so like the last couple months. And it's got to show you holding your fish. Outside of that, I don't really care. I don't care if you caught it in Florida, if you caught it in your backyard. I don't care if you caught it ice fishing or with a rod and reel. It's just got to show you and your fish. It's got to be emailed to me at danderson@thefisherman.com. Just make sure you give me, first of all, put giveaway or contest in the subject line so I know what it's for, and tell me your name and the other pertinent details. Or you can text them to the number on the screen, and the same rules apply. Just make sure you tell me about the catch, who you are, and we'll get you in the contest. And this one's going to wrap up, I think it's on April 24th, the last Wednesday in April. And we'll pick a winner then, and then we'll probably start another one after that. So you got a couple months, and then we'll see who wins. Moving over into the reports now, we'll start things off with the freshwater synopsis. And if you remember last week, we were talking about how, February is kind of a tough month overall for fishing. And we can rely on sort of changes in the weather to kick the fishing into gear. Well, lo and behold, we've got one happening today, on Thursday this week. And basically, we have a low pressure system coming in tonight, and that's going to probably kick things into gear for lots of different species across the region today. So if you can, pretend you got food poisoning at lunch or something and cut out now, or if you've got the day off and you've been trying to decide whether or not you want to fish, well, let this be the thing that inspires you to get out there, because today should be a good day, and tomorrow probably has potential as well. We've got a warming trend, and we've also got this low pressure system coming through. It's going to rain tonight. It's going to rain tomorrow. Typically, that's going to kick things into gear. It doesn't matter really if you're fishing for largemouth bass, trout, or pike, or whatever. This is going to kick things into gear. One thing that's definitely going to fire up is the pike fishing. That seems to always get better and better as we get closer and closer to a system like this. And the other thing is, for me personally anyway, this is going to be the official kickoff of the early spring largemouth bass fishing, because I think this, and then we have another warm-up and a little system of rain coming through early next week. Could be Monday, could be Tuesday. So I think these two things are really just going to deal the right cards, and things are going to really start to fire up. Outside of that, we have been seeing a lot of really big pike coming through the ice out in western Mass, and then further north. It's just been really good, and even without any weather systems to kick it into gear. And then the trout fishing has just been phenomenal. It doesn't matter if you're fishing the Cape, you're fishing Rhode Island, or you're fishing anywhere out in Connecticut. The bite's been good. The only thing you've got to deal with is what you see behind me here, skim ice. However, I think wherever there is skim ice, I think we're going to see that breaking up on Friday with the rain and the warmer weather, and even the places that kind of hold on to it by the middle of next week, it should all be gone. So things are looking good down here along the coast, and we still got safe ice inland, and we'll see how long that holds on. Moving over to the regional reports now, I checked in with Evan Camoan, and he's been doing really well through the ice up in Maine. He's posted some nice pics of like a splake, and a lot of trout coming through the ice up there. A lot of largemouth bass coming through the ice up there too. So good ice bite up there. He dropped down into New Hampshire. I was talking to James Jukes today. He hasn't had time to shoot a video this week, but he did give me a few tidbits of information. Said that his guys have been heading up into New Hampshire and doing really well through the ice, from panfish to pickerel, from trout to bass. The bite's been very good. Then, as we drop into Massachusetts, it hasn't really been any holdover news from any of the spots up around Boston, and we're dealing with a lot of skim ice in that area and inland. However, out in Western Mass, as we talked about a little bit, there's been a lot of big pike coming through the ice. I got a video from Dan Southwick of what he calls a gorilla. This is one of the girthiest pike that I've seen in a long time, especially from New England. And I sent this video. I also saw Roy Lytle had a really nice pike this week. And while we're on the subject of Roy, why don't we throw it over to him, head out to Western Mass, and get a Western Mass report from Roy.
Hey Dave, Roy Lytle here. Sorry I missed you last week. In the shanty doing a little jigging. Figured I'd give you a quick report. We still have ice. Miraculously, we still have quite a bit of ice, especially out in the Berkshires. But anything, from central Mass all the way west and north of 90, you can find some frozen lakes, some safe ice. Central Mass has a little more like 4 to 6 inches, depending, for safe ice. And then out here in the Berkshires, there's places that have, 8 inches. Just keep mindful, those edges. Remember, those, late season, those edges are the first to go. So just because you got on the ice in the morning and, it was cold last night and it locked up, doesn't mean as you're getting off, you can't be careful. Check your way in and check your way out. Always carry that spud bar to keep yourself safe. Fishing, on top of that, has been really good. I got to give a shout out to my buddy Jer, who brought his son Gus. If nobody, if anyone knows Gus, he's just a little hammer. He's a beast when it comes to fishing. But he caught a PB pike, probably about 16 pounds, probably one of the fattest fish I've seen this season. It was awesome watching him all by himself. He pulled up the trap, grabbed the line, set the hook, eyes widened out, and then it dropped him down to his knees, and he fought it at the hole the entire time. But good stuff. I'm sure, you can post the photos or whatever, or check out Off the Hook Fishing on Instagram. I've got the photos up there. Plenty of big pike this year. That's been my main target. But, on top of that, I've caught a lot of, decent bass, largemouth, pickerel, all the panfish, even cats this year. Really, spending some time on the ice this season. With the short window that we've had, it has been very good. So, this week, kids are on vacation. Get them out, just be safe. Just like I said, be mindful and be safe because it is late ice. All right, catch you guys later. Peace.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Heading out of Western Mass down toward the Cape. We've got a lot more open water in the approaches to the Cape and heading out to the Cape, especially the bigger ponds like Long Pond or Mash Wake B or something like that. You got open water pretty much all the way around in those places. Maybe some of the sheltered coves have got a little ice on them. But the trout bite's been exceptional. A lot of bigger fish have been coming out of there too. Most of these big fish are coming on shiners, but a few of them are being caught on jerk baits. And heard about fish up to 24 inches out of the Cape ponds over the last week. A lot of big browns, so that's something you can get excited about. Also, definitely going to see that largemouth bite catching up to the smallmouth bite, which has been plugging along and been decent all throughout this month. And it's still hearing about a few guys getting holdover stripers in some of the estuaries along the Cape. So lots of options out on the Cape. Last thing, of course, is we are hearing about mackerel and pollock in the east end of the canal again. So guys are getting those on sabiki rigs, are getting them on little tins. But overall, that's been a surprise hit. It's just been kind of hanging on, and things are looking good. And that's what I have for you guys in Massachusetts this week. Moving over into Rhode Island now, we'll start things off with an East Bay report from TJ Kopecky.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, guys. Nice to be back again. Got a quick little fishing report and a nice little fishing tip for you at the end of the video here. Into the fishing in the East Bay. I dodged a lot of skim ice this weekend. The bite was tough. Couldn't find those white perch that we've been catching. Try to get some trout. A lot of skim ice. It just been tough to fish in some of these local ponds to get to the spots that I want to fish. I had to resort to trying some different spots, which was good. I always like to try some different spots in the area. Didn't catch anything. Hey, you can't catch them all the time. That's part of fishing. Did hear some reports of some striped bass being caught in the Providence River from a couple of friends of mine that have been fishing over there. And not only are they fishing in the outflows of the power plant, but they are also fishing a little further up towards Hemingway's. There's a couple of good spots up in there where that new walkover path is that goes over the Providence River. If you're fishing in there and you're looking for some holdover striped bass, try going a little further up into the river. And the fish might be holding there. The water might be a little bit warmer for them. That's probably your best bet. Other than that, in the East Bay here, a little bit of southeastern Mass, we got a lot of frozen ponds. It's looking better a little bit. In the latter part of the week, I see 50s with rain. So not sure if it's going to take care of all that skim ice, but it might open it up a little bit and give us some opportunities. So this week, for our tip, I wanted to talk about dehookers. I mean, how many of us actually really use them or have them? Us as fishermen, you know, we have light fishing rods, finely machined reels, but does everybody have a fish dehooker? There's several companies out there that make them. I make my own. I actually made this myself. It's just an old closet hanger, and I cut it, and then I got the piece of wire in here that I just JB welded right inside of it. Drilled a hole right through it. It's very easy, inexpensive. The main thing is not only conservation of the fish, but it's also to protect your hands from treble hooks, just the hook itself flying back out of the fish and into your hand. I've seen more and more cases this year of people getting hooks in their hands. This right here will help you to prevent you from getting that hook in your hand. On the conservation side of it, it also helps you not to handle the fish as much. So what I got here is, I had tied a jig on. This is a tautog jig, and mainly I like to use a lot of these for tautog, and you see more and more people using them for tautog. Pretty much you're just going to take it, hook it, and then flip the fish upside down, and just the weight of the fish there will actually, the fish will fall off the hook. This is what it looks like on a jig. And I also have one of my tautog rigs here too, which if the hook was in his mouth, basically you would just grab the hook and flip it upside down and give it a little shake, and that fish falls right off. So you hadn't had to touch the fish, or you hadn't had to get close to the hook to get in your hand. So I got to tell you, if you don't have one of these, try to start using one. Grab one. They're very inexpensive. They're highly effective, and they're great for conservation. So that's all I got for you this week, and we'll talk to you next week. Tight lines, all right, guys?
One thing we're seeing consistently throughout this month is it seems like every week we just go up one more half a step as far as the intensity of the holdover striped bass bite goes. We saw that again this week, although not as many reports overall this week. I think a lot of guys weren't getting out there just because it was a lot colder, but the guys that went got fish. And this is also when we start to see the first herring moving up into the runs now, so definitely want to keep your eyes in the water for that. But that's always a good indicator that things are going to kick into another gear. When we start to see those scout herring moving into these runs, any of the holdover stripers in the area are definitely going to wake up. They're going to be become much more aggressive. They're going to be able to target them, I should say, with swimming plugs and things like that, things that move a little bit faster. So that's good news if you want to get in on that. Another thing that we heard about is that the head boats have found like a new way to sort of cash in on the winter bite. Cod bite's been pretty slow, and a few of the head boats have been doing some of these offshore runs, like a 2-day trip over the weekend for tilefish. I know one of them out of Point Judith did it this week. I can't remember the name of the boat, but the bite has been really good out there. Guys have been doing extremely well on those long range trips. But that's a unique fishery, something that we don't always get to cash in on here in New England. And so if that's something that interests you, you definitely want to give them a call and get on that next one. And let's check in now with Jeff Sullivan. He told me he was going to do a little pre-primer on some spring striper stuff with big shad. So here he is.
Thanks, Dave. What's going on, guys? It's Jeff back with another Lure of the Week, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about shads. Big bass, big spring bass, big bunker schools, watching bunker getting thrown around all the time. I love it. I go to bed thinking about bunker getting blown up on. So, yeah, let's jump into it. So these 4 shads I have, I always have with me all the time. I do not leave home. I do not leave my house. There's always one in my truck or one at the shop, a couple on the boat. I think Capt has some on the boat, so I don't forget them. And whether I'm on the boat or in the wetsuit in the surf or I'm at the shop, I always have my tsunami shads. Always. Matter of fact, I'm going to start keeping them in my pockets with hook guards because I do not want to forget these, especially in the spring. I use these through the whole year, but especially in the bunker schools, I love to use these. They're made very well. The hook's very thick. It's got a nice sharp hook to penetrate that big fish's mouth. It's got to penetrate the bone. So make sure they're sharp, and the material is made very well. It's got a nice rolling action to it, as you can see, and it's got a nice boot tail. So it pushes water and attracts fish, and it works very well at night as well. And how to get white too, because white is the fishiest color of them all. Also, NLBN. I had the 5-inch shad and the 8-inch shad. Same thing. The hooks are made very well, very sharp. You are not bending these out. I don't care if you're Incredible Hulk, you're not bending them out. They got a nice, beautiful jig head to them, nice eyes on them. 8-inch bait or 5-inch bait. This is the Hell Yeah Butter. Awesome baits. And these tsunami shads are 4 1/4 ounces. Also, I forgot to tell you, they're very, very heavy baits. They're dense, but I like to jig these on the bottom of bunker schools because the big bass will oftentimes feed on the bunker that's already dead. They're very lazy, so they got to pack on the calories. They just made a long migration, so they need to eat. Bunker, pogies, menhaden, whatever you want to call them, they have a lot of protein, and the bass know that, and they pack on calories very fast by eating bunker. This is the Gravity Tackle El Natural shad. It's got a big boot tail. This is a 7 3/4 inch bait, and I put it on an NLBN head. You don't have to be a perfectionist, but I like the profile of it. It looks awesome. But with that being said, that's what I use in the spring. I like to jig them. I like to swim them. I like to, dead stick them. It doesn't matter. You can't fish these any wrong way. But yeah, I'm fired up. I'm like extremely fired up. I can't wait. Spring's here for me. I gave winter. I threw it out the window like 4 days ago. So I'm ready. Hope you're fired up. Same time next week, guys. Thanks.
Now, looking inland, and while we're talking to Jeff here, I know the white perch bite has continued. A lot of good fish coming out of some of these tidal creeks, and then some of the landlocked populations are biting well also. And then the trout fishing has been really good across Connecticut, across Rhode Island. A lot of the guys are just doing it by going to the DEP website, DEM. Man, I'm really tripping on my words today. Going to the DEM website, checking out the spots that were most recently stocked, and there seem to always be cashing in on fish. We've seen some really nice sized trout, also some really nice salmon caught in Rhode Island waters this week. And that's what I have for you guys in Rhode Island this week. Jumping over the border into Connecticut, there's a lot of options in Connecticut, and it seems like not a lot of guys are cashing in on the ones that I think are the best. So we're seeing a lot of trout fishing going on, which is great, and Connecticut does a phenomenal job stocking. They always have. They put a lot of nice fish in, and they really spread the love around the entire state. Guys that are doing that are cashing in on great bites. Whether you're fishing like the Farmington or the Salmon River and finding the fish up in there, or you're hitting any of the ponds that they've stocked, everyone seems to be doing well. And even up in the way northwest corner where there might be a little bit of safe ice left, guys are doing it through the ice as well. But my favorite fisheries, as we've talked about the last few weeks, are up inside the Connecticut River. Skim ice is probably going to be a little bit of an issue until we get into this weekend. But there's just such a robust fishery up there, whether you want to go for panfish and get white perch, yellow perch, and calico bass, whether you want to target holdover stripers, you can find them up there. You can do pike and pickerel. You can find largemouth and smallmouth bass up there. There are just many options. The bite always seems to be really good at this time of the year. And, you know, when we don't have ice, you barely see any boats out there. I don't know why. But that is a really great fishery, something that you guys should definitely be cashing in on. For a little bit more on what's going on in the Connecticut River Valley area, let's toss it over now to Rowan Lytle.
Hey everybody, so the weather pattern remains more or less stable through the rest of this week and the weekend. Pretty much the same. I mean, you could more or less copy and paste my report from last week, except the week after looking pretty nice and warm. So be prepared for that. The fishing will improve radically after this weekend. But a little bit of rain in the forecast Friday. That shouldn't hurt things. A lot of rivers are kind of on the lower and clearer side right now, at least lower and clearer than I would prefer. There's some hatches kicking off on a few. The late winter caddis and stoneflies are kind of starting. Not a lot of fish up on them yet. Most of the action's definitely subsurface. A lot of the nights are getting cold enough that there's skim ice on a lot of lakes and ponds and coves of the Connecticut River, so that's not really an option. But definitely looking at a market improvement in the fishing coming up. So here's hoping. Definitely looking forward to some warmer weather. We shall see.
Next up, let's check in with Captain Mike Roy from Real Cast Charters.
I'm in the boat getting ready for the season. Wanted to point out, for summertime fishing, we have great striped bass fishing in Connecticut because we have a large population of big stripers that reside here in July and August. So if you're looking to book a trip, primarily live bait fishing with live eels and live bunker, I recommend doing that now. I'm inside the Pathfinder and just installed this new switch panel right here. And I just want to show you inside the console here some things that you could be doing. So in the back of the switch panel right here, went ahead and did all new connections, terminal ends, and it's important to use heat shrink marine quality connections. Down here, this is the negative ground bar. You want to take a look at this, make sure there's no corrosion on this. If there is, you take sandpaper, clean it up, and you can put some silicone dielectric grease on that. Also, the back of the battery switch here, you can see I added a resettable fuse breaker that feeds the two panels. You want to make sure all these things are clean. Make sure those terminal ends are clean in there. Same thing with all your connections that go to your batteries. Make sure you clean those up with some sandpaper and put some silicone dielectric grease on there. That's all I have for you for this week.
Last but not least, let's head to Westbrook now and check in with Matt Stone from Black Hall Outfitters.
What's up everyone, Matt here at Black Hall Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. Batch of milder weather on the way, which is pretty exciting. Looking like we're going to get up into the 50s in early March, which is always good to see in the winter. That can trigger some of those colder fish into biting a little bit if it's been a while since they've eaten. In terms of trout, the streams are looking good. The river flows are good. I was out yesterday, crystal clear water. It was really nice water to fish. Stocking is still kind of taking place, done with the sea forel and brown trout into a lot of the local lakes. The Atlantic salmon stocking is complete in the local rivers, so keep an eye out on those. You can get out there, throw inline spinners, you can do some float fishing. Fly, of course, is always an option, that kind of stuff. Freshwater, they're kind of alternating right now, at least, between ice, light ice, and no ice. So it's a little tougher to fish the lakes and rivers the lakes and ponds that tend to freeze a little bit in the winter. So pick your days, see if you can find piles of fish out deep, crappie, yellow perch, that kind of thing. Slow, deep jerk baits for bass, things like that. Holdover stripers, if you can find an area that's not frozen, they're definitely biting. Some white perch around as well that are biting. So plenty to do if you pick your days, and hopefully there's a few good ones on the way.
Heading west from there, Max is busy this week, probably getting ready for his seminar. And it's not going to have time to shoot a video. He did say that things haven't changed much. Not a lot of differences from last week's report to this week's report. The one thing I have heard is that there have been more schools of Atlantic herring moving into the Housatonic River. And when those bait schools move in, the fish become more aggressive and they become susceptible to other things besides the soft plastic on a jig. So you can throw like an SP minnow or a hydro minnow or a mag darter or even a metal lip or a magic swimmer or something like that. These fish are going to come up, they're going to be more aggressive as this bigger and more active bait starts to show up in the area. And you know, it can fire up a bite. It can be like a totally different thing from just bouncing jigs through those deep holes and, you know, waiting for the thump. So it gives you the opportunity to fish for some aggressive fish, is what I'm saying. So you have that, and then out west too, you got the Mill River, you've got the Norwalk River, you got a bunch of other ones in that area, or you can head up to the Farmington. The trout fishing has been good. There's been some hatches on some of these warmer days I've seen on some of the fly fishermen's Instagrams, and you know, so that bite has been good, and it's getting better, and you know, it's really exciting stuff out there. I think we're, you know, finally starting to wake up throughout the region, and you know, you can kind of feel spring in the air, so I just love that. Last but not least, let's take a short flight now down to Costa Rica and hear what's happening down in Marina Pez Vela.
Guys, how's it going? This is Ben Gilmour from down here in Costa Rica, enjoying another beautiful sunset here on the Pacific coast. This week's fishing report, guys, we got a really strong billfish bite happening out there right now. Just today aboard my boat Good Day, we released 8 sailfish, big Pacific sailfish in the 70 to 100 pound range, just epic fishing. Just the other day we had the ladies tournament of the year down here at Marina Pez Vela. Absolutely insane weekend. 700 sailfish released by the fleet, 9 blue marlin, and plenty of dorados and a few tuna also. Just hitting the scales the last couple of days, there was an 88 pound yellowfin tuna and an 83 pound yellowfin tuna for Gypsy Girl, one of our new charter boats here in the marina. Along the beaches and the rocks, we had some really nice rooster fish, some 20-30 pounders running right now. Some Cubera snappers have been getting caught, along with bluefin trevally, triple tail, jacks and mackerel as well. Over the last week we had some epic snook fishing. There was a 38 pound snook weighed the other day, and lots of other fish in the 20 to 30 pound range as well. When are you guys coming down to see us? We're waiting here, Marina Pez Vela. Just check out the beautiful project that we have here. Come on down and see us. We are ready, my friends.
That's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully you're going to find it inspiring to get out there. I know there's still snow on the ground. I know there's still skim ice out there, but man, oh man, we've got 2 warm-ups on the way. We've got a couple of low pressure systems coming through, and I know that's going to fire up a whole bunch of different bites, whether it's striped bass, trout, largemouth bass, pike. These are the types of systems that we wait for at this time of the year, so don't let them pass you by. If you're not a subscriber to The Fisherman, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. It'll give you a full spread of what we offer, and you know, there's enough free content on there to cover everything. You can get a really good taste of what we do. If you're not interested after all that, at the very least, you can give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing down there so you get a notification every time we post something new. Appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.